Om Partaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratita Purana Munina Martye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavate Ashtadashatyayini Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini. O Bhagavad Gita, it was through thy help that Narayana, the Lord himself, brought enlightenment to Arjuna. Afterwards, Vyasa, a sage of ancient times, incorporated thee in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, to thy 18 chapters, thou showerest the immortal nectar of the wisdom of non-duality and destroyed man's rebirth in this mortal world. O Mother, I meditate on thee. Chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga. We chant from verse 1. I'll do it in Sanskrit. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhvamulamadasyakam Ashwattam Prahuravyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastvam Veda Savedave Adasya Urdhvam Prasitatasya Shaka Guna Pravriddha Vishaya Pravala Adasya Mulan Anusantatani Karmanubandhini Manusya Loke Narupamasya Tatopalabhyate Nanto Nachaldir Nachasam Pratishta Ashwatamenam Suviruda Mulam Asanga Shastrena Tridena Chitva Tata Param Tat Parimargitavyam Yasmin Gatana Nivartanti Bhuya Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye Yata Pravritti Prasita Purani Nirmana Moha Jita Sanga Dosha Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kama Dvandvair Vimukta Sukha Dukkha Sangnai Gacchantyamuda Padama Vyayamta Natad Bhasayate Suryo Nashashanko Napavakaha Yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mamaha Mamaivangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha Manashashtanindriyani prakritistani karshati Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati Grihitvaitani sanyati Vayurgandhani vasayat. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha. Rasanam granameva cha. Adhisthaya manaschayam. Vishayanupasevate. Utkramantam sthitam vapi. Bhunjanam vagunanvitam. Vimūಢā nānupashyanti pasyanti jnana chakshusah yatanto yoginaschainam pasyannātmanyavasthitam yatantopyakritātmāno nainam pasyantyachetasah yatāditya gatam tejo Jagat bhasayate kilam yachandramasi yachagno tattejo vidhi mamakam kama vishya cha bhutani dharayamyahamojasa pushnani chaushadi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakah Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritam Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamannam Chaturvidam Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivesto Mattaha Smritirjnanam Apohanam Cha Vedaisha sarvairahameva vedhyo Vedanta krit veda videva chaham Tvaivo purusho loke ksharakshakshara evacha Sharas sarvani bhutani kutastokshara uchyate Uttama purushastvanyah paramatmetyudharitaha yo lokatrayamavishya vivadyavyaya ishvaraha. We'll take the 17th today as we have to recap a bit. We'll just look at the 16th verse. Says, in this world, Loke, in this world, Dva, Imo, Purusho. There are these two Purushas, entities. One is mutable, one is constantly changing, and the other is the root of that change. It's immutable, unchanging. That which is the first one, the mutable, the constantly changing, is all beings. Everything in this universe forms the first of the entity, Kshara, always constantly changing. And we see this in this world, that everything is constantly changing. If it doesn't change, it will not exist. There's nothing in this world that is not changing. And this is the funny thing in this world. If a thing doesn't change, then it's dead. It doesn't exist. So our very existence means there's a constant change. And the other is the unshakable, the unchangeable. What is that unchangeable? Yeah, there's on one level, there's all these changes. But these changes must have a cause. Otherwise, it makes no sense. So there is another unchanging, imperishable. Shara is that which decays. Decays means transforms. The other is akshara, that is undecaying, non-transformative. But here comes the commentators and they say, especially Shankaracharya, saying this unchanging, the cause of these changes on top are actually something which is called imperishable. That's why it's called kutastu. But it is called Maya. So Maya is that the root from where all these changes come. So though it is called unchanging, yet it is called because it is the root of these changes. The root remains the same. You cut off the tree, the root will give off another tree. Cut off that, it gives off another tree. And this is constantly. So as long as the root, that's why the root of this is called akshara. Okay? So this world of all living entities, anything, everything that is there, whatever has life, whatever does not have life, is a result of constant change. And beyond that constant change is something which is unchanging, which is called Maya. Why is that? Oh, that's because it's always there. Creation is always there. How come? At times we see that it's not there. Yes, it goes through waves. The wave rises and then the creation begins and constantly goes. And then it tapers down and then it becomes fine. It is not non-existent. It just becomes fine and exists in a non-vibratory stage of existence. And from there, again, it comes out. So this is one of the reasons why in Indian philosophy and Indian, you can see, religions, creation is eternal. Has it always been there? Yes, it has always been there. But then God created the universe, they say in some religions, God created. No. It's always there. It's either in a fine form or in a manifest form. So it's unmanifest and manifest. So it's a whole cycle. It goes on and on and on and on. And because it goes on, it's as if forever. Why is it forever? Yeah, because it's the nature of Maya. It is like imperishable. It cannot destroy. It cannot be broken. It cannot be said to not exist. It is always there. So when you say, who created the universe? Who created? It is always there. It has always been there. It will always be there in the future. But what about some people who say the world will come to an end? You know, these signs, the world will come to an end. What in 2000? We had a great scare. I remember when we were young. Y2K, all the computers will be wiped out and this and that. Nothing happened. Then the Mayan calendar, it showed 2010 or something like that. The world will come to an end. Nothing came to an end. Then somebody said, there will be coming, the God will come again and everything will be destroyed. It will come to an end. No, it's not coming to an end. And every time we are saying it's going to come to an end, nothing happens. So that's why in Indian philosophy we say they solve that problem. It's not going to come to an end. Why? Because it never had a beginning. It's always there. What? Yeah. Creation, it goes through waves. But that waves are like everything goes in waves. And in these waves, there are two forces. One which tries to throw everything out, and one is trying to bring things back. Okay. Why is this? Yeah, you can see all the galaxies are flying away. And Hubble, when he discovered there is a red shift, Mr. Hubble, not the telescope, it's named after him. But he discovered that the galaxies are flying away from each other. How is that possible? And he found how it is because of the red shift. There's a red shift in the spectrum. And even Einstein went to see it. Oh, okay. Yeah, he got convinced. Anyway, that's a different. Yeah. So everything is flying. And at the same time, gravity is trying to bring everything together. What is this? Trying to hold things. Things are flying. Same thing is happening in everything. There's one force that is trying to break everything and trying to push everything out. Another force is trying to bring everything inside. This is the force of disintegration and the force of integration. The force of pravritti and the force of nivritti, pulling back. And in this churning is going on, all these kind of things. Something is coming up, rising, going down, coming, rising, going down. Okay. So it happens in the mind also. It happens in the body also. Everywhere. These two forces, one is trying to throw you out, another force is trying to bring you back. Both keep the universe alive. If it wasn't, it's for these two, if there's suppose there was one, everything would have clumped together and we would have become a mass of clay. So both these forces are struggling. Which one wins? There's no question of winning or losing. Both these forces, and that's why we call it, what do we call these forces? On the moral side, good and bad, joy and sorrow, hate and love, all these forces are now at play. You're naming them. Essentially, they are these two forces. So this whole, what you say as the things that makes everything change is a result of these two forces. And so what is this force? Where is the force? What is the nature of that force? Oh, that is called Maya. That's why the force itself is called immutable. So it's immutable in the sense that force has always been there and is acting on matter like this. So this is the nature of all things in this universe. So Bhagavan, when he says there are these two entities, so that translated in the world, there are these two persons, he is saying. Dva imo Purusho Loki. But this is also Purusha. Purusha is not a person, but an entity. This whole thing is an entity. Why? Because it exists. And the other one also, that also is an entity. Okay. So the name of the chapter is Purushottama, the best of the Purusha. So these two are considered out. No. One is constantly changing, one is the root of these changes. So what is Maya? Yeah, Maya is like this. Nothing but constantly these things are now molding, remolding, fashioning, refashioning. There's everything that's going on over and over and over again. Nothing in this universe is ever still. Nothing can be ever still. As I said, if it is still, everything dies. There will be no creation, or there will be no. Why is it necessary? Because these two entities, as it says, are the upadhis, the limiting adjuncts of God. I'm using the word God in that sense, the common usage. So the word God covers an immense ground. So let's look at it like that. Something that transcends these two things, these two entities, the changeable, the unchangeable. God is beyond that also. Sri Ramakrishna said, yeah, God is with form, God is without form, and God is beyond both form and formlessness. Wow. What is beyond that? Yeah. It goes beyond your conceptions. So we'll take up this 17th verse that combines everything together. The 17th is in the translation, but different is the supreme Purusha, the person, who is spoken of as the transcendental self, who, permeating the three worlds, holds them and is the immutable God. Now you know why these things, creation is always there. Because God is always there. You cannot say, God one day woke up and said, let me do some creation. No. The waking up and all is for us, not for God. Well, God, he goes to sleep. And then he wakes up. No. So God is always there. And if God is always there, creation will always be there. So though the creation goes in waves, God doesn't go in waves. So, and that is what we find, but different from what? From these two, Kshara and Akshara, the mutable and the immutable is different. Is the supreme Purusha, the Purushottama, the supreme person, who is spoken of as the transcendental self. So it's beyond these two. But, so it's a transcendental self. Oh my God, it's a far out. Whenever in Vedanta you hear the word transcendental, that is, you also have to put in another word with that to understand it. It's transcendental and immanent, that is within everything. You cannot have a God who is something there and creation there. It makes no sense. To have God in heaven and on earth we are getting fried. And already we're getting fried. Then if you don't like this frying, then you will go into a bigger. If you don't like this frying pan, then you'll go in straight into the fire, which is called hell. What is this? Crazy. So better be in the frying pan than in that hell, they say. And we say, okay, let us go there. Where? There we will sing and dance forever. All right. Try singing and dancing forever, then you'll know what it is. You cannot separate first heaven and hell and earth, and you cannot separate God also. Same thing to me. You cannot separate that transcendental self as separate. Oh, it's very high, not meant for us. No, it's not like that. It is here. It is here, within everything, outside everything, and yet it is goes beyond. So in Vedanta, they give an example of, so there are so many people here, and there's like so many trees. But the collection of all these trees make a forest. All right, so you can understand. So all the living beings are like in that forest. But when you say trees, means there's some space between the trees. So that is called space. Otherwise, they will have to say, there's one big tree. No space inside. All right. And forest means there is some space between the trees, between the leaves and twigs and branches and all. So that space is not the only space there. There's a space up above the forest also. Outside the forest also, there's the same space. Now, replace that tree with every living being, and the collection of all these living beings as the forest, and the space as consciousness. It's between all trees, in the forest, the whole of the forest, and above also. So that is consciousness. So God has to be understood like this. The transcendental self, the space above the forest, as well as that same space within the forest and within the trees. That is consciousness. Now, if this is there, then he's saying, as he says, the transcendental and immanent self. It is there within and outside also. It's like this room, and in this room, we have space here. And there's space outside. There's space in this room also, in that room, in this room. So how many spaces? No, there's one space. Also, there's one space in this room. Yeah, and it's outside also. So that outside space called transcendent is the same space which is inside. You cannot have two spaces. It will create problems. That's why they say there cannot be a consciousness of God and the consciousness of Jiva separate. The same consciousness. That's why it's said that Jiva is Brahman. Consciousness which is there within you is the same. Wow! What a fantastic idea. Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. Because Advaita Vedanta does not like two things or three things or four things. Okay. So suppose all that forest goes away. The trees also go away. What happens to that space? Space is always there. So like in California, we have now and then fires and they burn everything up. And then after some years, you'll find again trees growing there. And from there, another big forest comes. So it's like that. The space is untouched. That is a supreme space. Now, where is that supreme space? I want to get it. That supreme space is also in every heart. Every heart. But yeah, but then in the tree, there's no place there. Actually, there is. If you look closely, take a microscope, an electron microscope, you will find there's a gap between each tree cell. There's space in the tree, there's space outside the tree, there's space above the tree also. So there is that same space, that same Purusha, that same Supreme Purusha is there. Okay. So he's saying this actually permeates. It has gone inside and everywhere and goes inside and permeates the thing. What do you mean permeates? So he's saying Vivarti Avyaya Ishvara. It holds Vivarti. Holds. Everything it holds. What does it hold? It holds everything. Everything. What is everything? Again. Everything. So it holds the mutable, the changing. It holds the immutable, that forces. It holds together. This is, where is it? It is there within you. That has been, Vedanta has been saying over and over and over again. It is there within you. That same thing which is everywhere. That Purushottama, that is that the Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Person. Is a person? Not in that sense. Purusha means that which fills everything. That fills. Purnamiti Purusha. It fills everything. Or it is there in every being. Puri Shayanat. It's there. So this Supreme, so now you know there are these now. We have three Purushas, three entities. One is the mutable, changeable, one is the unchangeable, and one is the supreme, unchangeable, which is there within everything. So this Uttamaha, Uttama. Uttam is not, we say Uttam. I remember I had a friend named Uttam. He was my roommate also. Poor fellow, I don't know. Poor, he passed away some years ago. We had great fun with him. Hey, Uttam, hey. The best. There is no one like you. You are the best. So this Purusha, Uttama Purusha, to Anya is different. This is different. It's called Paramatma, the Supreme. What is this Paramatma here? The Supreme Self. Where? In the Vedas, in the Upanishads, in the Vedanta, it's called Paramatma. It's called Udharita. Yo, that is that which is Lokatrayam, that is these three worlds, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. Avishya entered into. How is it? In the other Upanishads, like one fire has entered into everything, has taken its form. Or like that one mighty wind which has entered into and taken all these forms. Yet is transient. Agni Yataiko Bhuvana Pravishta, like the Agni in the fire, enters into the earth. Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Bhavus. It enters into all forms and yet is outside. Ekastata Sarva Bhuta. Similarly, this one Atman, Ekastata Sarva Bhutantaratma, has entered into all being, making it Rupam Rupam, making that everything. And yet beyond it by history. So that one supreme person, Purusha, God, as it says, God, has entered into each and everything. What is that? Say, from Brahma, one of the creator gods, to a blade of grass, right down to the microbe, virus, everything, and holds it together. How is it in the Bhagavad Gita again? This it's like the example given is like a string of pearls. You see, oh, so beautiful, so expensive, but you don't see the string inside which connects. So similarly, that one Atman has gone into everything and holds everything together. That is that supreme Purusha, God. He's called the immutable God. So this supreme Uttama is conscious, free, full of, it's like, we say existence, consciousness, bliss. Okay, that's much better. So he has entered into, like the commentator says, we have these various layers to make it more comprehensible for us to understand, to grasp it. We have these 5 layers in our personality. The physical layer, the body. Within the body is another layer called the vital force, life force. Inside that layer is the mind covering. Inside that is the intelligence covering. And inside that is the bliss. So it's called Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Anandamaya Kosh. So this entity has entered even inside, goes beyond. It's called the Supreme Self. Okay. Brahma Pucham. So, yeah. So this indwelling consciousness within us is that supreme Purusha. But what about me? Who are you? I'm so and so. Okay. Oh, and remember, Sri Ramakrishna is there in, I think, in Calcutta. He's saying everything happens due to God's will. So one doubt is, yeah, it happens. Everything happens to God's will, but it is dead to us. Yeah. So Sri Ramakrishna said, but who are you? Who are you? Yeah. I remember there was one old Swami, very humorous, very not humorous. He wasn't humorous. I mean, very serious he was always, with grave. But and he was annoyed. He used to come and stand. He used to say, "Tumi ke." And he was old, he was in his late mid 80s when we used to interact. Tumike, who are you? And the way he used to say it, he used to become quiet, Like you tell him to do something or where. Tumike, means who are you? That has means two things, like who are you to tell me to do this and that? And we used to think, and we took it both ways. We took it like, well, who are you? Nowadays people say, who am I? Who am I? They're asking, who am I? So that Swami used to, but that Swami, like he used to say, Tumike, who are you? Yeah, you are just yesterday's kid. Tell me. He was Swami Shivanand Mahapurush Maharaj's disciple. And so we already had great veneration for him. Whatever is all right. He'll come. He never hit anybody. Frighten us. And we used to get delighted. Oh my God, I still remember it. Everybody around him used to get first. Suddenly he's passing, he's on his own mood, and we used to like stand in attention with reverence and all that. He had such a personality. And what kind of personality? He was not very good looking, but he looked very attractive, very beautiful. He was like not very tall, but he was nice and stout. Nice and black color. He had missing teeth also. Few teeth he had. When he smiled, his smile was like heaven. He used to walk with a stick. And oh my God, he used to wake up, I think, before everybody, 3 o'clock, and he used to every day, when go to the temple. At that age, he used to go and sit down, whether it is winter, summer, rainy, nothing. This whole world did not mean anything to him. He used to go at that particular time before everybody, almost everybody, go and sit down there in the front of the temple and meditate. I used to sit down for 2 hours. He was sitting, and then he used to go. His life was amazing. I could go on and on. Instead of talking about the Bhagavad Gita. So, like when it's time to enter this I should tell you, the dining hall. We have a huge dining hall. There's about more than 200 monks and brahmacharyas all sitting down. And he used to slowly come with his walking stick. And as he used to enter, there everybody exchanging notes. Hey, what's happened there? What's happened there? Talking. Suddenly, everybody becomes silent. And he enters, looks at everybody as if like pleased. He walks slowly until he sits down. We're all quiet. And after he sits down again, we should shut. And his scolding was also nice. Everybody used to tremble. So he used to ask, Tumike, who are you? And with such evident delight, like you are a small fry. They're saying, who are you? But what about me? I remember, who are you? It is all God who has entered into everything. And if you don't identify yourself with that, then you're in for some big trouble. What trouble? So many things. So our spiritual practices are nothing but to identify ourselves. We have lost the connection. We have become separated from this Supreme Person. And the whole of spiritual disciplines is nothing but to get reconnected with that. And who are you? Who are you? There is only this one God there. And if you can look at it, we are parts of that God, or we are one with that God. Because it is He who holds everything together. And as we have seen, everything that exists on the surface of this earth, or in the mind even, all these changes, it because it exists, we all exist, and everything exists because of this entity. So, but different is the Supreme Person who is spoken of as the transcendental self, who, permeating the three worlds, upholds them and is the immutable God. So God is free from all time. So the word used is Ishvaraha. Not in that same way. The Ishvara means like the personal God. It's not that. That same God can take any number of forms. But generally, Ishvara is Isha, one who controls, one who's a lord of everything. So it is this Ishvara. And he directly is saying it. I am that. So he says, my God, God is so. The big ego he has got. Yeah. The only thing we can understand is the only I that exists in this universe belongs to God. And he is saying, I am God. Does anybody say I am God? No. Only God can say, I am God. Aham Atma Gudakesha. I am that Atman. Then what about this I of mine and yours and everybody's? Yeah. That is the mistake. This I does not belong to you. Tumike. Who are you? If you can understand this I does not belong to me, it belongs to God. That's why they say, find out who you are. Who am I? Who am I? You know, we've seen there's like, find out who am I. It's very easy, no? Who am I? Oh, you know who you are? You do not exist in the I. The I belongs to God. That is the only I in this whole world. I. So when we start doing spiritual practices, you must start with, this I of mine, which I feel is mine. There's a bigger I, which is God. I'm a part of that God. And slowly, through good works, through good thoughts, through japa, meditation, etc., this idea comes in that this I that is in me has to have something else behind. Now, what is that something behind? It's God. So these two other entities that we have seen, Shara, the mutable, and the Akshara. So these two are held by. So the I is held, the supposedly I of me and all of us is held by that greater I. So if we say, find out who you are, who am I, who am I, who am I? People go around, oh, who am I? And there's another saint, Nisargadatta, saying, you are that. I am that. What? Yeah. I. And people think, this I am that. It's not that. It doesn't work like that. This I goes away. It is actually that only. It is God's I only here. It is not you are that. Otherwise, the ego gets inflated so much. So it is trying to cut away that individual I which is there. Once it goes, then you'll find out. The only I is the I of God. This is the... So now we spoke about the supreme space in the heart. It is there. But still that thing is so abstract. Then how do we get this thing? Yeah, the best thing known to you is your I, the sense of self, or me. It is the best known, that's why you start there. And yet at the same time, it is the worst known. You cannot know it. Though you are that, there's a great paradox in this. It is you, saying to me. It is known to me. I know myself, and yet you don't know yourself. So the ordinary idea of the self has got this paradox. But when you replace it, I am a child of God. I am a part of God. Then what happens? It becomes known. And there's no paradox. There's no contradiction. So all spiritual practices are just leading us to this idea. It depends, and then you say, oh, I'm a child of God, I'm a friend of God, I'm a servant of God, whatever, these various relationships, just to get. That's why he's saying, this is different from this very I that you see there. So you come back here. Then the whole thing is over. Yeah. But what about me? Then you say, okay, what about me? What about you? There's Ram Prasad saying, oh, mother, I don't want to be sugar. I want to taste sugar. Chini hote chai na ma, chini khete chai. That's me. I want to eat sugar. I don't want to become sugar. Yes, you can do that, but only in the highest sense, where you can remain eternally one and yet different. This is the philosophy which is called Achintya Bheda Bheda. The inconceivable difference in identity. Yeah, that's very... You cannot. It's like both the identities are like your separate identity is there, as it were, but it's within the bigger identity. It is one and yet it is separate. Yes, you can, but a Vedantin will say, how long you want to? Let's go inside. Let's plunge inside. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to retain. No, because they feel that if the I goes, everything goes. I do not exist. This knowledge, however, whether the complete oneness, a kind of eternal separation, like I am God's child, or I am part of God, that will depend on God's grace. This realization comes through God's grace. So we'll read this one again. Uttamaha purushastvanyah paramatmetyudharitaha yo lokatrayama vishya vivarti avyaya ishvaraha. Uttamaha purusha to anya, other than these two, other two things. Paramatma iti is called Paramatma. Udharita is called Paramatma, Supreme Self. Who, not you, who has gone within everything, all these three worlds, and holds it. So, yeah, you've seen how they make the you can say image of Kali, no? Or Durga and all. They'll come first, and the guy will come and tie some sticks together. It's called armature. If you look at it, and then they will wrap around those sticks in that form, straw, and over the straw they will put clay, and slowly the form is taking place. And as they dry it, and then put another fresh layer, nice, of clay, and then you have the whole thing come up. Then the features are made, and every part of the image of Kali or Durga is made, and then it's painted and this and that. If you remove the armature, everything goes up. The initial structure of sticks. So when they take that and throw it immerse in the Ganges or wherever after the worship and all, then what happens? The armature remains. Sometimes you'll see it floating also in the river. Where the clay, where all those ornaments, and where the paint, and where the eyes, they're all gone, all dissolved. Only the armature remains. So within us is that armature, that initial structure that gives us gradually life, is that supreme ego that holds everything together. And that is what is Ishvara. That is Avyaya, immutable, the superior immutable, not the second immutable. The second immutable was unchanging, the root of the forces of Maya. This is the superior, immutable, unchanging. That is okay. So, 18th one. Then he tells him directly, saying, since I am transcendental to the mutable and am most excellent as compared even with the immutable, hence I am well known in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Purusha. Yasmat ksharamati toham aksharaadapi chottamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratitaha purushottamaha. Therefore, ato asmi, that I is like asmi, I am well known, yeah, in the world and in the Vedas. I'm called the Purusha, the supreme person. He's saying, this is, but who this Krishna is saying this? Ah, now be careful who is saying. It does not, it's not just Krishna saying. Krishna is just a kind of a form that this Ishvara has taken through his own Maya. So Ishvara, God, the Supreme One, he himself says, she himself, whatever, there is no way. It says that I am well known in this world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Purusha. Why? Because Yasma, that is why Yasma. I am transcendental to this entity, the changeable entity. I'm even transcendental to the higher entity, the source of this first one, which is always there present. And as I said, transcendental means immanent also. Immanent here within and yet transcendental. Because we cannot have two types of, one is immanent and one is transcendental. So here he said, this is me. What is God? This is God. This chapter has kind of very succinctly spoken about this nature of the reality. So here in this, the chapter starts with the idea of a very large tree. And the tree has started with Urdhamula Madashaka, the roots up and its branches below, Adashaka, Ashwattham. It's called the great Ashwatha, that people tree. And its root is in that supreme Brahman. So the root of this world tree is this Maya. And in this Maya, which has come down in this world, as with its changeableness, unchangeableness, has come this whole tree of the world. Why is it tree of the world? Because everything is connected with every other thing. In this world, everything is connected with every other thing. No, those stars there, I'm not connected with them at all. No, you are connected with those stars. How come? Well, that very material which is there, or the material which is here in me, has come from those very stars. So I'm connected to that also. I cannot say I'm separate from the sun. I'm not. Yeah. That which was in the sun 8 minutes ago is now in me. Yeah. All right. Everything in this world is connected. So how to show, you see, everything in this world is connected, So this is a scientific theory and this and that. In those days, they said, oh, it's like a tree. Why? Because in the tree, everything is connected to the roots. And if it's not connected, the thing is off. So they're given the illustration of a tree. And why is it upside down? I think we've discussed this. We won't go into that. Those who can Go back to the first and the second and third verses, why it appears, why they have said that it is roots above and branches below. There is a ulta there. So this, the changeable, the unchangeable Maya, and behind it is that Purusha, Supreme Person. The Supreme Person is that the very, you can say very, from where the Supreme Brahman, and from this Maya has come all these. And this is also found in the Mundaka Upanishad. So it says Aksharat Paratah Paraha. It's higher than the imperishable. So the root will always be there. As I said, why is it always be there? Because if the tree dies, and Sri Ramakrishna says, you cut the people tree, and next day or next week you'll see another shoot coming out of that tree. It's like, oh, I tried to destroy it. You cannot, like, coming up from there. You're talking about the idea of an ego. You cannot eradicate it. Almost impossible. How do I eradicate ego? You cut it, it will spring out somewhere. The most unselfish person in the world, yeah, you're not perfected in that. Then you say, this fellow is taking everybody for a ride. You see how he'll react? Somewhere that sense of, huh? Like that Swami, Tumi ke, who are you? So this is that whole tree, like the Maya, the tree of Maya. It is everywhere. And there's a sap that flows through. That is essential. And the source of this sap itself and everything is this Supreme Person. So that's why he's saying, since I am transcendental to the mutable, the first Purusha, and am most excellent as compared with even the immutable, the second entity, hence I am well known in this world. Where is it well known? Nobody knows. Whatever it is, you will find people have been trying to understand not just who am I, what is real. All religions, all philosophies, all arts, all sciences, everything, they are trying to grasp something which is real. In all our activities, every activity stems from the fact that I am real. And yet it's very abstract, very hazy. What is real? I move about and do everything because I feel real. Nobody feels, I don't exist. Of course, there are these psychological, not diseases, phenomena, like it's called depersonalization and derealization. Like you feel as if what you're experiencing is not real. Ever felt like that? And depersonal, that this world does not appear like a kind of a solid entity, or I'm not a solid entity, something. The personality is kind of not real. And this experience also is kind of not real, something else. But these are transient states. Generally, we all believe that we are real, and somehow all our activities by trying to get this reality. Swami Vivekananda says, science is a search of truth in the external world. Religion is a search for truth in the internal world. And at one point of time in nature, there are no internal and external. Both will one day meet. Science and the religion of Vedanta will meet. That's why these scientific things, like they echo Vedanta, and the Vedanta like echoes science. They're so similar. The terminology, concepts are different, but they're every waking moment, you might be lost in a reverie or you might be distracted. But all our life, our search is trying to get to this real, to know the real. This is the history of all knowledge. Why do we have to know? You cannot say, I do not know. Suppose, what is this? I do not know. Immediately, she will Google it. Oh, it is like this. Oh. We don't want to remain ignorant. Check, check, check. Double check. Triple check. We always something like that. Ignorance is there. We're trying to push it back, push it away. We don't want to stay ignorant. Nothing. And in this great pursuit of what? I want to know this. I cannot believe I do not know this. And I will keep on studying and I will breaking my head, but I will keep. Cannot. How do I know? Yeah, I know. So and so said it. Buddha said it. So and so said it. Oh, the Swami said it. The book said it. I know. We cannot be complacent or comfortable in ignorance. You want to know. This itself shows there is something within you that's pushing you towards trying to understand what is real. This knowledge in the ultimate sense leads us to God. Yes. So that's why Vedanta made this the natural thing that is within all of us as a central. All knowledge. There was one sage, Rishi, who goes to another sage. This is in the Mundaka Upanishad. Tasminnu bhagavo vijñātam sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. What is that? By knowing which you know everything. Oh, that's wonderful. I wish I could know this, and then by knowing this, I can know everything. Actually, it happens. Like all knowledge is connected. All people are connected. Everything is connected. If you know one thing, you press one grain of sand, you can understand one grain of sand, you can understand the universe. If you know one atom, you know all the atoms in this universe. So that sage, he says, there are two types of knowledge, the lower and the higher. And the lower, he says, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, etc. All these various things. And he says, these two knowledge have to be known. You not say, oh, this is lower knowledge, I don't want it. No, it has to be known. You better study it. And then after you've done this lower knowledge, then the higher knowledge, the Aksharam, that which understands the imperishable. So human search has always been to know. What is this behind it? It's been the pursuit of knowledge. The pursuit of knowledge is nothing, pursuit of the real. That reality is appearing as knowledge. Pursuing it, pursuing it, pursuing it. Everything that we do is this. So that's why I'm well known in this world and also in the Vedas. Because the Vedas is the words of the mind of God, like it is God Himself. The Vedas speak only of this. So I'm well known in this world. So we do not know what is God. Well, quietly keep quiet and just sit down in the room, lock yourself in the room, and then after some time, then you will try to open your computer, want to see something. Or if there's no internet, then you'll want to go out and see to the window. Impossible for you to stay in the state of darkness. Or you'll call your friend, hey, how are you? Come over. You want to know how you are, and I'll tell you how I am. This thing is always pushing us. It will not rest. I know. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to get so annoyed. You say, I know. What do you mean? Say, I'll learn. That's why I used to say, Yavat bachi tavat shiki. As long as I live, so long do I learn. He never liked, I know. You should get annoyed with people. What do you know? I'll learn. So this pursuit of knowledge is what drives humanity. Oh, but I wanted a few $1,000,000 so I could take it easy. Take it easy what? Well, do what? Yeah, that's not human life. Oh, I want to enjoy all this. I want to travel here, travel there. You can do that. But that's not, you're traveling. Why? They say travel broadens the mind. All right. It's not enjoyment. Oh, we enjoyed the trip. Foolish fellows. They will go and they don't study anything. They enjoy. Like they will go on a cruise. They could have studied so much things. What they will drink so much they will get drunk. Huh? What? Why do you have to spend so money to go on a cruise and get drunk? You could have done it at home only. So it's an opportunity. So every moment you have, the world is there open for you. You are trying to understand God. If you can understand this, if you can get this right, then everything is done. Oh, the God we do not see, we do not know. Your very life shows that you're trying to know Him or it or her. How? Knowledge. That is the supreme person, Purushottama. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We will take the remaining 2 verses next, and that finishes the chapter.